For today's juicy lore, we'll be sitting on the brutal throne of blood as we carve into the lore of the Lord of Murder, Bhaal. Welcome back to Beauty and the Beholder. If you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Kiki. I just want to hang out with you, put on some makeup, and gossip about D&D characters. I hope you're cool with that. Before we get into it, I just want to provide a disclaimer. It's hard to get on here and talk about fictional fantasy characters when there's real tough stuff going on, but it's important to find joy in times like these. This is how we connect. This is how we create communities that help propel change. Change takes time. This isn't the end. We're not gonna stop fighting for our rights. Just know I'm right there with you. You are capable of so much and bringing so much good into this world. Take care of you. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's gossip about some fictional fantasy characters. Let's go. So Bhaal is life. Bhaal is specifically the god of ritualistic killing and murder. He's not just plain old death like Merkel. He is about the extra sadistic, murdery element of death. In previous editions, his domains included death, destruction, evil, retribution, hatred, law, and ritual death. He is known as the Lord of Murder, the Dread Lord, and 𝕻𝖗𝖔𝖉𝖚𝖈𝖙, which is a race of mountain spirit folk. Bhaal was incredibly violent, cruel. Before the time of troubles, Bhaal's divine realm was the throne of blood on Kailas, the first layer of the outer plane of Gehenna. Gehenna was an outer plane that represented all of the evils between neutral evil to lawful evil. I think technically Bhaal used to be considered neutral evil. Now we totally consider him chaotic evil. That man is out there. He is a little extra, just a little. Where he resided, Kailas, was known as the bleak eternity of Gehenna. Can you imagine putting the bleak eternity on a real estate listing? Like, welcome to the bleak eternity of Gehenna. Oh, freak. Okay, this is gonna be a messy look. So, you know what? We're gonna leave it. Apparently Kailas, where the throne of blood resided, was the most livable of these planes, which is pretty funny to think of like a evil plane as, oh, this one's livable, you know? Kailas had cascading waterfalls, which would also lead into the river Styx. So this was also tied to like Hades and the afterlife. Steam from Kailas rose into the infinite black sky, making the horizon glow with a dull red color. The realm was also described as feeling particularly alien. It also housed the Mana Fort, which is essentially this like set of floating discs that housed Bhaal's divine essence. Pretty sure it is in the Baldur's Gate game. Personality-wise, Bhaal was cruel, violent, brutal, hateful, you know, all the best qualities. And he lived on hunting and murdering. Rubber band between like being cold, calculating, ruthless, and like just pure rage with like bloodlust. Apparently for Bhaal, the presence of living creatures instilled a deadly hunger and an overpowering need to kill and destroy. No childhood trauma whatsoever there, huh? His whole existence was just driven on this insatiable need to bring death and destruction to the world. His whole thing was basically just an insatiable hunger for violence and bringing death and destruction to the world. Kind of like our new president. Bhaal rarely appeared in his avatar forms, but when he did, he had a few options. He was like, you know, going up to his closet being like, oh, okay, what are we doing today? He had some options. So whenever he went into an urban setting, he liked to assume the Slayer form. If you play Baldur's Gate 3, you might have a little idea of what that looks like. Basically, it is this feral looking giant monster. In the lore, it's described as a human male corpse with a feral face, ivory white skin, and deep lacerations that endlessly wept black ichor that vanished before it struck anything. Disgusting. Really just this huge embodiment of murder and violence. But you know, at least he's the slayer. He said slay. Anyway, now when he goes to the country, when he's a country boy, when he puts on his little cowboy boots, he is going as the Ravager. The Ravager, as his form was known, was over 30 feet tall, with long, tough sinews, a flowing beard and mane of hair, eyes that glowed with the flames of Gehenna, and with a face twisted in a grimace of supernatural hatred. He also had 2 7-foot-long curved horns protruding from his forehead. Gosh, that is huge. 30 feet and also 7 feet on top of that with a horn. That is real big. He was trying to make a statement. It's so funny to me with these gods. They really put effort, you know, into, I wonder if they have like a little sketchbook. They're like, I want my little Ravager to be this tall, and he's got 7-foot curved horns protruding from his forehead, and he kills everybody. You know what I mean? Okay, perfect. I look like a regular Bhaalist right now. He also had Khazgarath. And Khazgarath was essentially this shape-shifting monstrosity. He could change forms, like Orin. Khazgarath was basically this, like, intelligent, shape-shifting monster that terrorized the Moonshae Isles. He's technically an aspect of Bhaal, formed with Bhaal's magic. He's not an avatar, really. He's like an aspect, if that makes sense. If you know the differences between like aspect, avatar, alias, put it in the comments. It's very confusing. And then I also want to include this here under the avatar section. His Bhaal spawn are a really, really big part of Bhaal's legacy. That's why we've got Baldur's Gate that dives into the stories of these Bhaal spawn, Abdel, the Dark Urge, or in the Red, Sarvok. All of them are Bhaal spawn, which are children of Bhaal. And we'll get into the reasons once we dive into his origin story in a bit. Bhaal could also manifest as a pair of flying skeletal claws that could grow bone daggers and, you know, do things, play the piano and all that. He also sometimes appeared as a laughing skull that had trailing bloody teardrops. So that's always fun. He could also cause darkness to appear near his manifestations, and it was said that he could possess any lawful evil aligned being and basically awaken an urge to slay within them. Not our kind of slay though, the bad kind of slay. I think I really need to start gluing down my eyebrows. The shape of them always gets in the way of what I want to do. I feel like I do the same kind of shape for my makeup. Sometimes the eyebrows just, I want to shave them off, you know? But something also tells me that's like a bad idea, like, oh, don't do it. As for Bhaal's symbols and iconography, a symbol is a human skull surrounded by a counterclockwise orbit of streaming teardrops. I couldn't find any related animals of his, I guess because he's got like beef with all living things, so that sucks for him. But his monsters are a variety of deadly monsters, so basically anything undead. He really likes skeletal undead, death fangs, dread, tentacle monsters are also his thing. He really likes dark tentacles. It's also said that Harla of Hate were created by Bhaal. Harlas are like spirit demon kind of things that are assigned to like specific emotions, which is funny because it's like a big part of, not a big part, but they're very common in Dragon Age the Veilguard right now. I have so many thoughts and feelings about Dragon Age the Veilguard. I've been on a roller coaster of emotion with it. I had lots of thoughts when I first played it. Now I'm at like the maybe 50-hour mark. But yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. Do you guys want to hear about other games that I play? I would guess y'all are into other RPGs, you know? Should I make a dedicated video? This is definitely a game worth talking about, you know? So yeah, Harla were created by Bhaal to stalk the realms, and the hand of Bhaal would guide their choice of victims. Which, like, come on, let them at least make their own choices, you know? They want to kill certain victims, just let them do that. He's very controlling. He's got his hand in everything. It's not official, but I feel like it makes sense. Gnolls are also something that I would tie to Bhaal. I feel like, or at least the Dark Urge. Maybe that's a Dark Urge thing, but I don't know. If you play the Dark Urge, there were enough Gnoll lines and interactions that I was like, you know, maybe they're a thing. He also doesn't have any official colors, but come on, let's be real. It's blood red. He's just all about the blood. Let's just give him that, you know? And he also doesn't have any official gems or precious stones, but I'm gonna give it to him. He can get ruby. I think he just really likes the color red. Maybe that's why he's so obsessed with murder. He just really loves the color red. Let's get into the pre-god life of Bhaal. Oh my god, I really did not mean to do that. That's color theory for you, huh? think because I mix it on the brown red. That's so interesting. Hold on, what if I do this? Whoa, okay. Experimentation, y'all. Do you see it's like, it's red on the thing, but not on my eyes. Okay, that might be better. That's more of what I wanted. So, let's get into the pre-god life of Bhaal, you know, before he got all famous. Basically, like the other Den 3, he was a mortal, ambitious, power-hungry man. He just, yeah, he really wanted that power, so, you know, as we talked about in the 𝕻𝖚𝖈 and the 𝕻𝖚𝖈 videos, they ascend to godhood with the help of 𝕻𝖚𝖑, etc., etc. If you want the whole story, go back to one of his videos. And maybe we'll talk about it more in depth with 𝕻𝖚𝖑, but that's the gist of it. He hands over his duties, the keys to, you know, the Bone Castle. Now, once Bhaal becomes a god, he just, like, he goes crazy. It's like, you know, somebody who might have been really sheltered growing up finally, like, moves out of their house and they kind of just want to do, like, all the partying, all the drugs, all the drinking. Like, it's just like that, you know? Oh my god. So to set the stage, it is the year, like, about 100 years before the events of Baldur's Gate 3 take place. It is the year of the Blood Bird, 1346, Dale Reckoning, and Bhaal, the god of murder, he decides it's a perfect time to go on, like, a trip to the Moonshade Isles. He's like, I'm just gonna take you guys over. So he sends off 𝕻𝖗𝖓, that monster of his, the aspect that we were mentioning. He sends him off to go terrorize the Isles and take it over, basically. He joins forces with the Northmen and Firbolgs to try to go in and wreck the Moonshade Isles. Just like, okay, I'm glad he's making friends through all of this. That's at least good. And during this, like, 𝕻𝖗𝖓, his monster, he even, like, uses some sort of, like, blood magic manipulation. He turns some of the Northmen into these, like, blood warriors, too. Just in general, just, like, a lot of manipulation, corruption going on here. With this fight, Tristan Kendrick, he's, like, noble background adventurer, guys. He's the hero. He comes in, and Tristan saves the day. He stops 𝕻𝖗𝖓 from taking over the Moonshade Isles, but after 𝕻𝖗𝖓 is defeated, Bhaal steps in, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna do it myself. He uses this one cleric, Hobarth, and he infects this, like, moon well, and he turns it into a dark well. So he, like, starts infecting the land with all the magic. This is basically, spoiler, potentially, for Dragon Age, this is basically the Blight, it sounds like. Oh my god, eyeliner is so hard because I have hooded eyelids. Anybody who gets close to that moonwell, I guess now darkwell, gets corrupted. It's just not a good time. He ends up teaming up with Cinder, a, like, Thayan wizard, and he throws some 𝕻𝖚𝖑 into the mix, as well as some undead. The 𝕻𝖚𝖑 are led by this priestess named Isala. And basically the dark well becomes his, like, home base, his crib, you know? This is where he starts, you know, getting all the children of Bhaal together. But not like his actual children, like some monsters. Thorax, which is an owlbear, a murder of Peritons, and Shantu, a displacer beast. Displacer beasts are so cute. Have you guys seen that displacer beast tattoo? Like, you know, the traditional panther tattoos that are really popular? I saw someone turn that into a displacer beast. That was really cute. Oh my god, guys, I just go wild, okay? But it's Bhaal, we gotta go wild, you know? Bhaal. Okay, basically, why is he doing this? All this chaos is because he wants to wipe out Chauntea. Oh my gosh, Chauntea again. Chauntea's come up in, like, almost every Beauty and the Beholder video so far, hasn't she? Maybe we gotta talk about her. Chauntea, of course, is, like, the earth goddess. She's the embodiment of life, all things good, you know. He's just jealous. And she protects the Moonshades. He drains her strength, you know, that all works. And the folk of Moonshade, they're, like, dying. They're all having a good time. But then, who comes in? Tristan Kendrick. That one adventurer guy that we were talking about earlier, he comes back to fight off Bhaal. During all this commotion, the Darkwell starts to get more and more and more corrupted. So it basically rips open this, like, portal to Bhaal's realm. And who comes in? The Ravager. The Ravager comes in to mess things up, ready to end this fight. But Tristan, I don't know what Tristan's been eating, but it doesn't matter because he's got this legendary weapon, the Sword of 𝕻𝖃, and he defeats the Ravager. Bhaal is then banished from the Moonshade Isles, and for a little bit, even 𝕻𝖗𝖈. It's pretty embarrassing, if you ask me. Now to fast forward about like 10-ish years or so. It is 1358 DR, the year of shadows. This is like the time of troubles. Bhaal is, just like with all the other gods, forced to walk among mortals. And this is where he cooks up his plan. He decides, you know what, I want to settle down. I want to be a father to hundreds of children. You know, typical midlife crisis stuff. So we know that Cyric is the one to kill the dead three. He takes down Bhaal, Bane, and 𝕻𝖗𝖈. He specifically, you know, kills them with the sword Godsbane in Avatar of Mask, the god of shadows. And yeah, he kills Bhaal. That's it. He just does it. But, you know, like the other gods before the time of troubles, they prepared, they got their ducks in a row, and Bhaal was looking to become a father. So what does he do? This is where he starts the legacy planning. He's like, bet. He goes, Sims 100 baby challenge. Let's start it. Load the PC up. He fathers a ton of different children in Faerûn. And honestly, it's kind of noted as like he goes and like sleeps with all these people, but from what we know of the gods, like, I don't think he actually did that, you know? Like, I think he just spread out his divine essence, you know? All of his children are just, like, another level of mess that I don't want to think about it too hard, you know? We know how that goes. He has a ton of children. If you play Dark Urge, yourself included. Now, when Cyric killed Bhaal, it's actually really weird because my cheek, your face is not flat, so this is kind of like a really weird big diamond to put on a cheek, actually. I'm so glad I'm not like a makeup artist. I feel like I experiment and change so much and like make so much mistakes with my own makeup that I'm like, I'm way too lackadaisical about it, you know? It's very like, I used to paint very much like oil painting for me. I try not to be too perfect about this stuff, but anyway. So yeah, that's not gonna lay flat because cheeks aren't flat. So yeah, going back to when, you know, Cyric actually kills Bhaal. Bhaal's essence ends up in the winding water by the 𝕵𝖃 bridge where he was killed, and his blood like literally is seeping and polluting the water. And that's actually how he managed to keep some of his essence in the mortal world. So I think that's also like another way that he was able to manifest and, you know, have so many Bhaal spawn. I think he might have used a little bit of that, you know, like there's something in the water and it's Bhaal. Now in the games, as a Bhaal spawn, you experience that ultimate choice of like, do you accept or embrace Bhaal? And we see this at each iteration of Baldur's Gate. Mind you, I have not played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. If you have though, let us know in the comments, like, what was that experience like? From my understanding, you do play as a Bhaal spawn, and I'm pretty sure that's the main plot point of the story, you know? Bhaal is like very much a part of it, is what it sounds like. To go in and do my due diligence and watch some playthroughs and some videos. If you have any, let me know. Or should we like get together on live and like play? That would be really fun to like get on and play with y'all. But I don't know if I like the idea of streaming, because like I want to be able to talk to people, you know? I don't know what would be best to do that, because I think on Twitch, is it just chat? I have no idea. I have to look into these things, but I don't even know if y'all would be interested in that. Would y'all want to play some games together? I laugh a lot when I play games. Everything is funny to me, so it would be a time. I guarantee you we'll have a good time. So why was I bringing up Baldur's Gate? Basically, one important point, kind of like the last time we see Bhaal spawn before Baldur's Gate 3, basically, is the year before Baldur's Gate 3 takes place, 1482. That, the year of the Narthex murders. It's returning day. This is the yearly holiday celebrated in Baldur's Gate, where Baldur's Gate commemorates the return of Baldurin, the famed explorer of its namesake city, after his first expedition to the continent of Ank'Arom. Oh my god, I just got mascara on my... whatever. My eyes are hooded, so you can't see it anyway when I go like that. I'm not go on. Okay, it's fine. But yeah, the second century is kicking off. This is a big event that reshapes the world. A Bhaal spawn shows up via Kong. This Bhaal spawn is supposed to be dead and gone, but out of nowhere, Abdel Adrian, the protagonist from Baldur's Gate, who's also a Bhaal spawn but is a good guy, He's giving a speech in Baldur's Gate. He's got people all over. They're there to listen to him. What a hero, Abdel. And all of a sudden, Viet-Cong, this ball spawn, swoops in. He starts fighting him right there in front of everybody. Like, what a family drama moment. Yeah, they are basically fighting. And one of them ends up turning into the Slayer. We don't know who. They don't know who turned into the Slayer because it just gets bloody. You know, the Slayer is obviously this huge monster. It's a scene. But yeah, the winner turns into the Slayer. Because Bhaal spread all of his, divine essence during the time of troubles, he's kind of like trying to recuperate it all in order to have all of that power for himself. So he wants all of the Bhaal spawn to fight against each other so that essence starts like returning back to him. So yeah, he wants one champion only. He's like, I know I had you all, my children, but sorry about it. Not a great dad, Are we down here? I don't know. As for Bhaal's dogma and worship, every murder committed strengthens Bhaal. They're really committed to this. They're very like, no, yeah, he likes it when we kill people. That's why we should keep doing it, So Bhaalists believe that every murder committed strengthened Bhaal. As a result, they viewed murder as like a pastime and their duty. So they found joy in their work. That's all that matters, right? If you love your work, you'll never work a day in your life. Bhaalists were required to deal death once in every 10 days. And this was supposed to take place at the darkest period of the night, basically like midnight. Apparently there's like not a term for midnight in the Forgotten Realms. I don't know. But yeah, it was supposed to take place at midnight once every 10 days. And if you're a Bhaalist and you don't kill somebody once every 10 days, your punishment basically is next time around you have to kill 2 people for each time that you missed. So if you, for whatever reason, like went to jail, you had other extenuating circumstances, maybe like an IBS flare-up, and you couldn't kill during that 10-day, when that 10-day cycle closed, your next 10-day, you have to now kill 2 times for every 1 kill missed. So double it, baby. Yeesh. Bhaalists strove to ensure that before they died, murder victims knew who was killing them. They were like, it was Bhaal. I feel like they're so obvious about it. It's like, how would they not know, Everything had to be in the name of Bhaal. Novices of Bhaal were charged as follows. Make all folk fear Bhaal. Let your killings be especially elegant or grisly, or seem easy so that those observing them are awed or terrified. Tell folk that gold offered to the church can make the Lord of Murder overlook them for today. A little money and you're good for today. That's too real. Most worshippers of Bhaal were assassins, bounty hunters, mercenaries, and the like. And of course, compulsive killer murdery types fit right in with Bhaalists. Priests of the Lord of Murder were known as either Bhaalists or Bhaalin, and they were pretty much always disorganized and just like a web of really strictly loyal hierarchies. They were just always disorganized though. Bhaalists tended to be clerics in the urban areas of the realms, while in more remote or rural areas, they tended to be specialty priests known as Deathstalkers. Now, when Bhaal was like defeated by 𝕬𝐸 and 𝕬𝐸 became like the Lord of Murder, Strife, Tyranny, Death, all of that stuff, everybody turned over to worship 𝕬𝐸. There were still a couple of Bhaalists in like more rural areas of Faerûn that like still really held on to Bhaal. But yeah, eventually they went on to like worship 𝕬𝐸 anyway. They would call him like 𝕬𝐸 Bhaal, I believe. Another person that they would also worship to was 𝕬𝐸. If they weren't worshiping 𝕬𝐸, 𝕬𝐸 was, if you remember, the son of Bane. But that, as we know from that video, that was probably a short amount of time that they worshipped him. The leader of an area or faction of Bhaal worship, regardless of their level, these were known as the High Primate or Prime Mistress. So weird. High Primate. I mean, I guess it makes sense. We are primates, so maybe I shouldn't judge it too hard. They're just being very honest. The assistants of a primate or prime mistress held the title of First Murder, and the First Murder would call upon the Cowal Deaths. These are the 9 most senior clergy members who held offices in the religious community. And then underneath all of this were like common clergy members, such as death dealers or slaying hands. Slay. Priests of Bhaal really enjoyed killing for killing's sake. But they did try not to murder, like, indiscriminately. They tried to, like, tie a little purpose to it, you know? A lot of time would go into the planning of these dark deeds and the implications of killing certain individuals. So they tried to be, you know, a little strategic about it. They would tie it into political strategy and, like, manipulation and leave certain socially or financially important individuals untouched. As for rituals of Bhaal, his main ritual is not subtle. It's basically ceremonial killing. It's not different than what they do all the time. It's just, you know, everybody doing it together and calling it worship. During each slaying, they would chant, "Bhaal awaits thee. Bhaal embraces thee. None escape." Over and over and over. That's pretty creepy. Until the deed was done. They would also draw Bhaal's symbol next to the corpse using the victim's own blood. They smeared blood on their hands, and if they performed the ritual correctly, it would vanish. And that, like, blood evaporating is just like Bhaal's little blessing, little on the head. Bhaal's priests also had a nightly prayer ritual before bed. This was known as the Day's Farewell. Very, like, sweet sounding, right? In temples, they would all pray together in a formal ceremony, and any time that they would set out to kill, they'd offer a quick prayer to Bhaal. Every time a priest would move up the rank, they would have to undergo, you know, murder. They'd have to do something to earn that new title. But specifically, they would have to do it with, like, their bare hands. So, a little messy, that one. They would then have to come back and recount every single detail to a priest. And the priest would, like, somehow know if they were, like, lying about it. This is kind of, I guess, like the, oh my gosh, yeah, the ritual that you have to, like, bring the hand to the Temple of Bhaal. I forgot exactly how the quest goes, but pretty sure it's that. You, like, bring the hand of somebody, and is it Dribbles' hand? No, it's somebody else's hand. Anyway, you bring it to them and they let you in, they snuff you out. Or you do the sacrifice of, what's his name, the little elephant guy. Oh my god, he's so mean. I forgot his name. Anyway, that elephant guy, that guy. Very ritualistic killing is their whole thing, you know, that's what they do. And of course, if they pass a test, one of their ways of celebrating is what? Another sacrifice. They're just all about this. They do not get tired of cleaning up. Actually, no, they don't even clean up all the blood. They just do not get tired of it. Now, one of the big rituals was the Feast of the Moon, which was basically an annual celebration for Bhaalists to get together and honor the dead that were within their ranks. They would gather and tell stories of their most impressive kills. You know, your average campfire tales, average dinner stories. Now, what did these temples look like? We have a few notable fortresses and temples, you know, usually packed with, like, assassins and murderers. Typically, they would just be, like, underground structures or very, like, simply, I wouldn't even say design, but simple temples, basically, where the decor was just, like, blood and guts. That was their decor, was murder and death and blood. Probably stinks so bad. Oh my god. Ugh. Oh, Temple of Bhaal, nasty. Yeah, nasty. Please. Some notable temples are the Temple of Bhaal of Baldur's Gate 3. I've been there. The Temple of Bhaal in the Forest of Worms. This was, I believe, in Baldur's Gate, the previous games. And the Tower of Swift Death. This was near 𝕻, and this was backed, like, funded by the Red Wizards of 𝕻. Bhaal's notable followers, of course, like we said, his Bhaal spawn, are Bhaal's golden children. That includes, you know, Orin the Red. You might be familiar with her. Technically, the Dark Urge is his chosen, basically. 𝕻𝖃, Orin's father / grandfather. Yeah. Not a fun thing to talk about. Some affiliated orders of Bhaal included the Brethren of the Keen Strike. This was a society in which all specialty priests of Bhaal were included in. The Shadow Thieves of were a deadly group of rogues, assassins, and moneylenders based in Cremor, And lastly, the Citadel of Assassins. The Assassins Guild of the Galenas was an organization of highly trained killers. Now, for Bhaal's relationships, as we know, he had a lot of children, many spawn. I don't know if you would technically call those relations, but Orin the Red, the Dark Urge, of course, 𝕻𝖓𝖋𝖔, a few of the most notable individuals. His allies were, of course, the other two of the dead three, Bane and Merkel, and he was also served by 𝕻𝖗𝖈 and 𝕻𝖑𝖆𝑡𝑟. He technically served Bane as well. During his godhood, he was also served by an imp named 𝕻𝑗𝑠𝑝𝑖𝑛𝑎r. It's nice to know there's like a theme here with the butlers. I loved 𝕻𝖓𝖋𝖔. He was so cute. 𝕻𝖓𝖋𝖔 was so cute. One of my favorite things about playing Dirge. Now his enemies, he's got a lot. Most of the 𝕻𝖓𝖋 pantheon does not like him, and for good reason. But his main foes included Chauntea. Everybody's got beef with Chauntea. She's got the it girl factor, you know? And I think everybody's just jealous, especially Bhaal. Just a upset little guy. Helm, Ilmater, Lathander, Lyra, and Tyr are also not on his good side. For some character and roleplay ideas. I feel like this one is pretty open-ended, especially because, you know, we've got Baldur's Gate 3, Dark Urge, you can be whoever you want, right? But with all of these things, I just kind of like to tie stuff together and make connections, and perhaps that sparks some inspiration. I know I spent a lot of time creating my Baldur's Gate characters like backstories so that it makes sense to me and ties into like the game. A lot of different races would work well with Bhaal because his Bhaal spawn spanned a lot of different races. Humans, tieflings, half-orcs, Dampier, Gangu. I feel like lycanthropy, like if you're a werewolf or something, like any of those kind of beast-like races would just work well here too. Classes, of course, an assassin rogue, perfect for a Bhaal worshipping character, a Death Domain cleric, Oath of Conquest paladin, the Pact of the Fiend warlock, like most fighter classes would work, and barbarian. Berserker, just full on bloodthirst. Just makes sense. A blood mage, of course, would be really, really cool here too. Murder, but make it magical. You can do like a death metal bard. That would be really cool. I don't think that's technically a class, but that would be fun. Backgrounds: criminal, cultist, acolyte, somebody who's already part of that church. But urchin and charlatan, I think, makes perfect sense as to turning to Bhaal, or being forced to turn to Bhaal, actually. That could be a cool, interesting twist. The Haunted One, Dark Urge whole plotline. Some bonds, of course, could be a devotion to Bhaal himself, blood pact, maybe you're tied to another member of the cult, you're indebted to somebody within it, perhaps your mentor, or you are trying to avenge somebody that was slain and is your go-to person for that. You just want to wreak havoc. Some flaws, of course, there's so much to play with here. It's, yeah, bloodthirstiness. Maybe you are super paranoid. Maybe your character is kind of like Orin. They got a couple screws loose, you know? There's definitely some sort of disconnect because of either their upbringing or just the way the Church of Bhaal treats life and people. It's really kind of skewed their perspective on things in a bad way. Some of their ideals could be using terror and fear to control others or get others to do their bidding. That is their way of getting things done. Perhaps they believe that they are divinely put on Faerûn to serve Bhaal, and that could be something that drives their purpose. Maybe like these Bhaalists, they believe killing is an art form. It's a form of creativity for them. Bhaal is such an iconic villain, character, god of Forgotten Realms. He is just your embodiment of like pure evil, you know? The storylines that we have from the Baldur's Gate franchise are just so rich, and the Dark Urge storyline especially is profound. I'm excited to dive deeper into more characters from Baldur's Gate 3 and not just deities of the Forgotten Realms. If you have any other requests, let me know if y'all want to hear about any other topics within D&D lore, or really just anything. Like, we can hang out, we can talk about it, whatever. Let me know if you want to talk about Dragon Age, like, what's on your mind, girl? I would love to hear all about your Dark Urge. How did you tie it in to Bhaal? Or if you have played a campaign with Bhaal in it, yeah, I would just love to hear all about it. I know I might not get to every comment, but trust me, I am reading all of your stories. All of your comments inspire me so much, and yeah, I'm glad to have you all here. Be sure to subscribe and sign up for notifications so that you don't miss your suggested topic when I post it. I hope you slay your day. Remember that you are loved and you are important. Ciao. Ciao, ciao, ciao.